And then it's like, how do you get to that point of releasing that tension?
Mm.
Um, and there also it might be an onion of sorts of like if you just layer like in this experience today, I in this moment, I forgive you and go through like a bodily
Mm.
relaxation thing, maybe also like a little meditation on why they are deserving of forgiveness or why the situation is deserving of forgiveness. Maybe also to Rob's point, what has been done about this so we're not just allowing it to happen again, thereby
Hmm.
enabling and even becoming a part of the problem in the future. Maybe it's this whole experience, and then it might come back that person, and we're talking about politics here of like there's a lot of people that my when someone close to me recently mentioned how like um even if their partner who hates Trump had heard that Trump had cured cancer, they would still not forgive him for any of the rest of their what he's done. And and it is interesting because it's like, yeah, how do we? Who is like? Is there? I'm someone that believes that everyone is deserving of forgiveness, not permissibility of any actions or like
Right.
accountability.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Yet, and like to my other point, it's like forgiveness. Yo, we are holding on to the wound here, or we are like refusing to, we're like keeping ourselves held back from our greatest potential in this life. It at least that's what it seems to be for me. The more things that I'm unwilling to forgive, they seem to like hold me back in some way. That's at least what my intuition, as well as some like training and whatnot, and how we like heal people that may have been traumatized or people that are depressed or angry or anxious. Like it, a huge reoccurring part of the problem for eventual like therapeutic growth seems to also be forgiveness of self and others.
Right.
So yeah, it does seem to be quite important
Yeah. I
and
mean,
I'd
I would
like
difficult.
say, go ahead, Stephen.
I want you guys to envision a man. Let's say his name is Hank, and
Hank,
he's wearing,
Hanky, Panky,
yeah,
different Hank.
yeah, Hank, he could be a middle name,
Okay.
and he's wearing a yellow poncho. And what he does is he goes around and he poops in people's medicine cabinets,
Mm,
and he
impressive.
doesn't have any regrets. He just does it, okay? He doesn't have any regrets. Now, let's say myself, I, on a night of a crazy bender, total blackout drinking, go over to you, Ryan, and I poop in your medicine cabinet,
Mm,
okay? And it
hmm
eats me up inside because a friend doesn't do that, doesn't poop in other people's medicine cabinets. And so I go over to you, Ryan, and I say, Ryan, I apologize for pooping in your medicine cabinet. And you say, Stephen, it's okay. You're forgiven. But still, it eats me up inside. But I look over at Hank and his stupid yellow poncho
mm.
is just a crazy guy that poops in multiple medicine cabinets and he doesn't feel a dang thing. He relishes in it and he hasn't asked a single person for forgiveness. He doesn't lose any sleep. While me, on
Hmm
the other hand, I do, even though you have forgiven me.
hmm
So the problem there is a lack of forgiveness for myself,
Forgive yourself,
in
Anakin.
myself. Okay. And so how do you get there? How do you get to a point of forgiving yourself,
hmm Mm.
even if you perceive forgiveness? Well, one thing to do is to let go of all the distractions, all the bull crap, all the things that you're putting in your area, any distraction that's preventing you from focusing your energy and your attention on the fact that you're not forgiven. And all you have to do is say three words: I am forgiven. And if you know that, that's it. You don't have to do a dance. You don't have to do a jumping jacks or ask it. It boils down to you forgiving yourself. And that's sitting with the discomfort of being unforgiven until you are forgiven. Otherwise, it's just sweeping it under the rug. And, you think of like the ultimate punishment for somebody that has committed an atrocity is solitary confinement. And so there's no distraction. All they have to do is sit with the fact that they're not forgiven, unless they're Hank that poops, and then he never gets to that point. But, typically most people would think, oh man, I've committed an act, and now I have to focus on that, nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I think that's it. And it's really important that's an emphasis on nice people, people that have an inability to forgive themselves, to let go of certain things so they can continue focusing on being a nice person. Because the bad people aren't tripping themselves up. The bad people don't give a shit whether they're forgiven or not. They're going to continue to do bad shit. But if good people don't do good things because they're just focusing on the fact that they don't think that they're forgiven, what's going to get done? Well, bad people are going to do the bad shit. Good people aren't doing anything.
Yeah, I think Anakin's coming up a lot in this, but that is if you
He's the OG pooper, if we will. Medicinal.
he did a lot of stuff that is frowned upon. But there is, if you're looking at other people and you're able to forgive other people, or at least just like wish that other people could live in forgiveness, but then you notice, you're not forgiving yourself for things. I think the source of that is pride. It is that thought of I should be better. It's okay for them because they don't really know, but I really know, and I'm I have more control than they do, so I should be better.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a rough thing to hear, but I think that's what it boils down to is if you're not forgiving yourself, half of that is pride. The other question is, do you believe in redemption? And that both of you have indicated that you do believe in redemption, potentially ultimate redemption, at least for all people, potentially. So, that's the question. It's that same thing that we go back to the beginning is what is your foundational assumption and orientation towards life? Do you believe that life has meaning? Do you believe that all things come your way are possibly challenges that are good for you?
Mm-hmm.
And do you believe in the possibility of redemption? And then to what extent is the question. And then that gets into, where's the foundation of redemption? Where does that lie? And how might we have confidence in it? But a lot of people are walking around like yourself, Ryan, who do have that super deep belief in redemption, whether or not you fully see and could say, here's why I believe in that, right? Mm-hmm. But at least there's the hope there. If the hope's not there, then that's a big problem, and that's something you got to address first before worrying about your own pride and forgiveness of others. And I think that's where it comes down to. That's what the basic fundamental mechanism, the basic how do we forgive? Well, we forgive if we're of this mindset, we forgive because forgiveness is possible, because redemption is possible, because the world is set up in such a way that there is redemption. It's not just something we can offer, especially in cases that don't apply to us and are, pretty atrocious in many cases. How do we have hope for a world through that? It has to be on something greater than us, just like meaning. We can't just bestow ourselves meaning and just be happy because we feel like we're mean. I mean, that's the objection that gets people like, well, maybe we're just broken beings. Maybe we think we want meaning clearly, but maybe it's just not there and we're messed up. So you could have that same thing with redemption. Like you can't just be happy and live in the clouds and say, oh, I have meaning because I feel like I have meaning. Therefore, it's all good. There will always be that intellectual or otherwise response to that gets under it and says, well, do we really have meaning? How do we know? Same thing with redemption. Do we really have redemption? Is redemption really possible? How do we know? So those are important things, but the foundation of redemption must be beyond ourselves.
Yeah, I feel like it is. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't see much point to the contrary. Um, yeah, yeah.
And then that's what allows us to participate in it,
Yeah,
to step into that, as Stephen was saying, of
yeah.
actuating that for ourselves and for others.
And now this might be well, this will, I'm sure, piss some people off, but I think that if you have someone who you believe that they are unforgivable. There's someone out there that is just you are like, wow. Yeah, 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 completely they are just like inherently unforgivable or something that they've done. I think that 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 points towards like some part of yourself that like what you were saying about the pride, like that's you saying you are just on a totally different plane. And I would never do what things that you've just done. And
Hmm.
even though, yes, that might be true in like in your life, like maybe
Yeah.
you'll never do what that person did. You live your
Hmm.
whole life. But if you were to have grown up in the exact same
Yes.
circumstances with the exact same genetics that have yeah, like everything, then you would like we have to, and I don't know about have to, but I find it helpful for myself to to just like check myself if I ever think someone is truly unforgivable, or if something someone's done is truly unforgivable. In that, and once again, not saying that these whatever they've done is permissible or I'd want to
Right.
continue, yet to acknowledge like, whoa, I wonder where that exists within me to do that sort of thing and proactively like do some work on that. That's what I do, at least in my own therapy. Is like I'll just literally think about what is the worst last thing I want to like talk about or think about each week, and then I go there, or at least I try to, um, with my therapist, and that sort of thing of just that's a great fertile ground for I would say anyone that is finding, especially in these political discussions, if there is a figure that you feel like is truly unforgivable, what elements of them are within you and like and talk about it and explore that. And then I bet you if you can accept those do exist within yourself in some sort of way, then you'll be able to find forgiveness for them. Not to say that you won't stop fighting for whatever they're currently doing or have done
Right.
at all. I'm
Okay.
guessing that you'll be even more strengthened to do so because you won't be triggered by weird unconscious stuff,
Hmm.
um, and you'll be more effective in your battle. But yeah, so that's I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot to be learned from our enemies.
Yeah. Well, the political leader thing brings in other complications too, of like, if you have that like total trigger mentality towards a political leader, then it's pretty hard to see how you would separate that from the people who follow that leader, right?
Hmm.
If to you it's just so clear that they are the most evil thing in the world, and that they're just, like, even if you just think, okay, well, their followers are just fooled by their outer appearance. Okay, well, now you think that their followers are just idiots. So you
Hmm.
are like, you're already demoting them in a substantial way.
Hmm.
Like, well, I'm smart enough to see through to the reality, and those, poor suckers out there, whatever it is. Like, once you've got a political leader in that box, anyone who supports them or follows them, you're going to have a pretty similar reaction to them, because how could you not, right?
Yeah.
And that ties into that. How do we understand across the difficulty? How do we approach other people and say, actually, to give a fair account, like, maybe there are some things that at least appear good, and I could see how someone would be taken in by those, and like, not like, how could it's pretty hard, it's
Hmm.
difficult, but being able to do that and not be like subtly being like, that means you're an idiot for being sucked in. It's like actually being like, no, we have different values, we have different experiences, we have
Hmm.
different priorities, and like, that's what comes to our different decisions, and it's not this
Yeah.
just stark like, good, smart people on this side and dumb, evil people on the other side.
Yeah, and if you can do this well, if you can truly empathize with them and forgive them, then I think you're more able to then bring them over to your side more. Like
Totally.
I've seen that happen countless times. Uh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I think how we actually solve this thing and the divide,
Right.
and actually have like a better outcome for everybody, is through that exact process that you're talking about there. You're more likely to like actually change their behaviors if you can do this to the extent of depth that you can do it. That will be the extent to which they will change. I'm guessing is one of the primary